Am I the idiot? For telling my 43F boyfriend 47M he is spoiling his kids? Me 43F and my boyfriend 47M have been together for about 6 months but have been friends for a long time. He is divorced, has a full-time job and takes care of his children 12 and 14 full-time. I was single, no kids. My boyfriend has been taking care of his kids full-time for 4 years now. He is doing very well as a single dad, lots of respect for that. I get along very well with the kids, they've always been nice to me. Problem is I think he spoils his kids. I've always kept my mouth shut about this until 2 weeks ago. Example, at Christmas we went to dinner at his parents' house, his sister was also there with her family. His youngest comes in with his laptop open, connects to Wi-Fi and starts gaming with his back to everyone over dinner. He hardly said anything to his family. I found this very disrespectful, especially towards the grandparents. Another example, my boyfriend always cooks dinner. Sometimes 2 or 3 different things to everyone's liking. His eldest then refuses to eat what she ordered herself, gets mad because she gets hungry and makes BF go to the store or get takeout late at night. Another example, the eldest usually sits upstairs in her room. The youngest is downstairs gaming on his laptop or PlayStation. When he plays on his laptop, he puts on YouTube game videos on the TV. That means that we the adults can never watch TV. We could watch something that everyone likes, but we can't because 12-year-old controls the TV. We just sit at the kitchen table and talk a bit. He always gives his children what they want, he never tells them no. They never have to do simple chores like load the dishwasher or feed the dog. BF does everything alone. His children treat him like a slave, and it hurts me to see that, but it also irritates me. Because of this, I don't like coming to their house anymore. As a result, he only comes to my house to duck literally in and out, making me feel like a whore. That hurt. So I finally poured my heart out. I told him he raises his kids to be spoiled and entitled. He was very offended by what I said. He said the divorce was hard on the kids and he had to fix them. They lived with their mother for a while where they were neglected according to him. So, this blew up and I haven't seen him in 2 weeks. He keeps texting me and asking if we can talk to work it out. I miss him very much and I really love him, but I don't know if this can be solved. I don't see how things are going to change. I know it's easy for me to talk for someone without kids and I understand very well that it is difficult as a single father. But if he doesn't teach his kids manners, I don't know how this could work out. Not even for me, but for him and for the kids. Life is going to be very difficult for them when they find out that they can't always get their way. Am I the idiot? Here? Now for the comments. Commenter 1: the purpose of dating is to find someone who shares your values. He does not. Move on. Commenter 2: your boyfriend is in the position of feeling sorry for his kids about the divorce and that their mom is crappy and neglectful. I get that. But he is indeed spoiling them, trying to be oh so good to them to make it up. He can't. He is causing them harm by prolonging the dysfunction. Neglect or over-spoiling, both are the wrong way. Kids feel better when they are part of a healthy working unit family. When they contribute, they feel self-worth. He should have them doing chores and he should stop catering to their unreasonable demands. But unless he understands this, and wants to really make the changes, well, your role is limited. And you need to decide based on one more conversation if you want to be a part of his plan going forward. It's good that you pointed out how he is failing his kids. But you can only decide to stay or leave. And you can tell him I want to be part of a healthy family where everyone pitches in, and adults have some priority over what kids want. Stay or go based on what the situation is, not what you wish it was. Update 1: my boyfriend and I continued to text each other after our big fight. We slowly got a little more understanding of each other and decided to see each other again. Remember, we really do love each other, or so I thought. He came to my house a few times and I came though hesitantly to his house. Everything was okay as he assured me that his children 14F and 12M were not aware of our argument. They were just nice to me again, as usual. We talked and had a drink. At one point, the oldest went upstairs to her room and the youngest stayed downstairs on the couch playing video games. My BF went outside to walk the dog. He wouldn't be gone for more than a few minutes. I sat at the kitchen table with my phone as the youngest son got up and tossed his empty glass onto the counter from a distance. Of course, he missed, and the glass shattered on the floor. I said to him, "Why would you throw a glass? You know it will break." I got up to pick up the big shards and asked him to get the vacuum cleaner. I was bent over, with my back to him. The 12-year-old came out of nowhere and low-kicked me against the back of my thigh really hard. I banged my head against the low kitchen cabinets and tried to catch myself with my hand. But I already had some big shards of glass in my hand, so I had big cuts. It didn't seem too deep, but I was bleeding profusely. His sister came downstairs because of the noise and shouted, "What have you done?" She cried and she tried to help me, she really did, but I got up, got my things, and got the duck out of there. Once home I pulled out the shards out of my hand but it kept bleeding, so I drove myself to the ER. I got 12 stitches and 3 different cuts on my hand. Luckily no permanent damage. I also think I had a mild concussion because I had trouble driving to and from the hospital, and because I was still dizzy for 2 days. I also have a big bruise on my leg where he kicked me during my hospital visit and the hours after my ex blew up my phone. I didn't answer because I was so mad I thought I would say things I would regret. After 2 days I told him what had happened. He was surprised by my story. He said the kids told him I freaked out at his son because he dropped a glass. I showed him pictures of my injuries, but he doesn't believe it happened as I said. Obviously, this is my ex now. I don't want anything to do with a delusional man like that ever again. Let alone with his demon children. I told him I was going to report assault to the police, and that I have the hospital records to back me up. He begged me not to because he's afraid he'll lose his kids. Their mother is not a good alternative, so they might end up in foster care. Am I the idiot here? To be clear, I don't want my ex to lose his kids. I still honestly think he's trying his best, but he can't handle it. His children grow up to be entitled little brats. I recognize that I shouldn't call the kids spoiled brats. They are a result of their upbringing. Also, the youngest has been doing martial arts for the last 2 years because he was bullied at school. Another parenting decision that I don't necessarily support, not in that context, but that's another discussion. Update to well, this blew up beyond imagination. Thank you all for your mostly kind words and advice. So, I called the police today and made an appointment with a police officer that specializes in family matters. This will take place tomorrow. Also, I want to clarify some things because I couldn't respond to every post. My ex and I hung out a lot longer than 6 months, so I did get to see the family dynamics before we got together. I just didn't think it was that problematic at the time. Dad and his ex went through a difficult divorce. I don't know many details, but I do know that things were not going well at the mother's house. The kids were removed from there and went to live with their dad permanently. So, they are already in the system. I know Dad has been called to school a few times because of fights involving his son. Brother and sister seem to get along aside from the usual siblings arguments. I did hear Dad and daughter say on different occasions that son is getting bigger and stronger and sometimes hurts her unintentionally. I never had the impression that he assaulted his sister. I think the daughter is a typical teenager who is grumpy at times and often isolates herself in her room. I don't see any problematic behavior there, other than the fact that Dad is bending over backward to attend to her sometimes ridiculous needs. I didn't say anything, I just thought he was spoiling her rotten. Dad says the son is on the autistic spectrum. I've never noticed any of that. I'm not a specialist other than that he throws a tantrum almost every time he doesn't get his way. Dad once told me that the son was bitten by the dog because he teased him. But I have often seen the son cuddling with the dog. I don't think he's hurting the dog. Update 3: I needed a day to reflect, but I got my shit together and called the police and made an appointment with the local police officer. That was today. I sat with him and told him everything that had happened. He was very patient and understanding and let me tell my story. I explained to him that I didn't want to press charges but that I had concerns about my ex's family and that I would like them to get help, but I don't know how. I don't want to get the son in trouble, I want to get him help. He said that as a police officer, he couldn't do anything for me because I didn't want to press charges, but that he had been working with a social worker for years and called her right away for advice. He summarized my story and asked if she was okay with being on speaker. We talked, but unfortunately, she didn't have much time, so we made an agreement that she would call me at the end of the week. She did tell me and the officer that it was important to document our conversation, along with photos of my injuries. I said I didn't want to because I didn't want to press charges. She explained that it was only a document of this case to go on file, in case it might be needed later. So, I agreed. I followed the officer into some kind of interrogation room. That's what it looked like. He typed out my statement and I signed it. He called in another officer, a woman, to take pictures of my injuries because I had to pull my pants down. They took pictures of my hand and the bruise on the back of my leg, which is still dark purple. So now I have to wait for the call from the social worker. Commenter 1: Why did you not want to press charges? 12 is old enough to know not to abuse someone like that. Commenter 2: Excuse me? You don't want to press charges? What country do you live in? Cops, by law, must file charges in any case of domestic or intimate violence. I don't care if he's 12 or, in a recent case, 6 years old. Cops should be opening an investigation and contacting the DA's office for charges. The child needs to be removed from the home, tested and placed somewhere he can get the help he needs. Original poster: I am one of those few dozen people who do not live in the US. Commenter 3: I sincerely hope you don't regret not pressing charges. That kid is too young to be diagnosed with psychopathy, but if he seriously harms or kills the next person. And all you did was make a report? Really? Lady, the signs are all there. Hope it turns out well, for everyone's sake.